everyone, I'm Agnieszka Skibnicka. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Internationale Polska Foundation, which is the main operator of Multicultural Center in Krakow. Today with me are our amazing volunteers, Olena Masylczenko, Christine Jardal, Tomasz Zawada, and Masz Kulisa. And since 1 year we are helping people fleeing the war in Ukraine, and without volunteers we wouldn't have managed to help so many people coming. We had and still have more than 11,000 volunteers, and today with us are representatives of this huge group, and we want to talk about their experience and what they felt during this time of helping. So firstly, I would like to ask you what made you join these activities, helping, and what was your first thought, and since when are you helping?
I came to Krakow in March, and I have been helping in a multicultural center since May, with 2 months break when I was in Ukraine. And there were several reasons why I started to do it. First, I got to Krakow from Lviv thanks to volunteers. That is why I wanted to respond to universe in a similar way. Second, I had some free time that time, and I wanted to be helpful, and I wanted to have less time to read and listen to news from Ukraine because it was very hard. And one more reason, the first day when I came to Multicultural Center, I met a lot of volunteers, and it was amazing that most of them were foreigners. They came from different countries, some of them from States, from Canada, and some of them had Ukrainian roots, some did not. And it was a very special atmosphere. They all were very friendly and very supportive, even to me, on personal level, also not regarding our common activity. So I told myself, I have no money to support, to donate to Ukrainian refugees while I'm here, but I can donate my time to help foreign volunteers helping Ukrainian refugees. That is my story.
Thank you so much. Yes, because you were meeting all the time with another refugees, and you made some contact, right?
Exactly.
When you were telling me so amazing stories all the time, it's really amazing, right? And what is your experience?
Well, the reason for helping is, I guess, what everyone is thinking. There's a need, and someone has to do the job. I have to say, I can offer my time for a short period. I'm only here for 2 weeks. I have a family and I have work, so I just took the time off. And I maybe think that this cold winter has been especially hard with the weather and everything, and that's why I was thinking maybe that was the time to go and help. Of course, in the beginning, I also wanted to help and did working from Oslo, and I think you said it very well, we thought this would be a sprint, and then it turned out to be a marathon. And I was concerned that maybe now it's not so easy to get volunteers. So yeah, that's why now is the time for me to come now.
And you decided to join the organization that is our goal.
I joined the organization called Drop in the Ocean. I've been working in refugee camps in Greece before, and it was a great experience, and it's something that's really important to me to help people flee. And I mean, very sadly now it's the Ukrainians needing our help, so that's why I'm in Krakow for these 2 weeks.
Perfect, thank you. And you managed to meet other volunteers from international volunteers.
Also other international volunteers, yes. It's a Norwegian organization, Drop in the Ocean, but we have people from the States, as you said, and Canada. And also I think working with Polish people and Ukrainian people has been, I'm learning a lot, and I'm bringing my knowledge back, and I think that's, educating people is, very important.
Yes. Thank you so much. Tomasz is our very long-term volunteer, so he will say something more.
So When the war started, I was abroad on my holiday, and when I heard the news, it was of course very devastating. And I started to maniacally follow the media reports and the updates. And I felt very much helpless because I just couldn't do nothing being there. I came back a couple of days later, and since I had been already in touch with the International Wound and Multicultural Center, it was just natural to come here and ask what was needed. And I remember the first this volunteering episode. It was when my wife called me and told that there was a truck with humanitarian goods which has to be unloaded, and I'm going there. So I joined her, and I saw, it was in my very neighborhood, and I saw the huge chain of people passing those boxes from the truck to the warehouse, one to each other, and this living chains. That was the image I never forget. So that was my first episode, let's say.
I also remember those chains, they were really huge. I mean, I was observing them sometimes and was thinking that it's unbelievable. So many people wanted to help in the same time, and there was some kind of unity between them. It was amazing. Now it's of course different, but yeah, I still remember those images. And Mashko, what about you?
I think my story is kind of a bit different. Considering I had my undergraduate studies in Ukraine, so in 2014 I was there in advance when it started the first time. And just remembering that experience and seeing it happening over again, even though at the time I was doing a master's degree at the University, also I had my internship, I was doing my thesis, but it's something that I couldn't just stand by and not do anything. So initially, during the first few days, I actually went to the border to help, and after that I came back here to Krakow and I joined the multicultural center. So it was a bit of kind of juggling so many activities. I had to manage my time both with my thesis, my internship, and also volunteering. But it was really worth it. They were, like Elena said, there were volunteers from different parts of the world, and it kind of built that bond, like a family bond, that together you're actually working towards a worthy cause. And I feel we're able to make significant impact.
I remember when we had this pharmacy with basic medication, and you were helping us a lot, and also sometimes listening to some conferences because you, as you said, you were also studying, so that was
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was something, but it was good because I still graduated with a distinction, and then I was able to do all that. So I think it was a great experience.
Yes. And can you told me that a little bit what were you exactly doing during this time of volunteering, and what were you still doing? I mean, it was more folding clothes, or helping in the line, or talking to, or giving some advice. Whoever wants to start, maybe.
Yeah, I can go first. So as you said, I was giving out medication, so over the counter medications. I have background in medicine, so I had adequate knowledge of all the medications, and added to the fact that I know the language, so I was really able to interact with the refugees, and when they come and they tell me their complaints, I know which medication to give them. So that was majorly where I was focused, and I think it kind of leveraged on my expertise there. But also I was at Dutch School 16, and that's where we're giving out food stuff, toiletries, and initially also some clothing items. But there I was unloading all the supplies, giving out just everything basically at the warehouse there. But it was good.
Yes, and we also speak Ukrainian, so that was additional help.
Yeah.
Because of the community.
Communicate.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people, I still remember when they came to get medication, and they'll be like, okay, they'll try to speak English because they think that I don't speak English. And I just start speaking, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I want to add, when I was in charge of registration and he was in charge of choosing and providing medications, Ukrainian refugees thought that they have to talk to me and I will translate their needs to him. It was a big несподянка for them that he speaks Ukrainian Russian. So it was funny who was the boss there. Sentences. I help with medications and later with food and clothes. And initially, I was in charge of registration on a medication distribution point. But despite I did not actually distribute medicine by myself, the Ukrainian refugees asked me a lot of questions about Krakow, about their different needs. So it was much more than a distribution point. It was like information desk about everything. So it was also interesting.
Yeah. I mean, none of my languages work there, so I can't really contribute in the engaging with the refugees very much. And that's maybe when you're volunteering in different parts of the world, it's sometimes hard to grasp that you're folding socks or just like organizing insizes or doing something that seems like very far away from this crisis and far away from the people actually receiving the help. But still, that's a drop in the ocean. That's the organization, and that's what we all are. I mean, we're all working, as you say, towards the same goal, and just contributing with whatever we can do. And for these 2 weeks, for me, that's it's the folding clothes and handing out stuff and packing like hygiene things. So it's very like basic practical work, but it's still very meaningful. So that's how I can contribute. Yeah.
That's very important work. Without this work, you wouldn't get those products. It's very important.
Yeah.
So I was helping several times in Shafadowa warehouses, which I are, by the way, amazingly organized. I was really impressed by that. And I had a meet with IT, data nationalism. Also because in my professional life, I'm responsible for CSR, which is like corporate social responsibility. I was kind of contact point with this corporate world. Let's put it this way. And in this role, I, for example, organized a charity concert together with the Rzeczywistość Foundation. It happened in my office. There was a concert of the Ukrainian choir and jazz band, which is formed by the guys from my company, which was actually awesome. And yeah, that's it. I was also cooking a soup for Super Ukraine, which is a very enlightening experience.
And you also engage other co-workers to join our community.
Yeah, this is also part of my professional role. Let's say that I managed to engage several from my company to join as volunteers.
Yes, that was also a huge help because we needed a lot of hands at that time. We still need them, of course, but this volunteer inside also workplace, that was great thing because co-workers to like go with a group and spend some time helping. So this was integrating. Yes, and I also wanted to ask you if you had some hard moment during this, because it's not always easy, you know. So maybe it was something that was really tough for you, and you have to get through this emotions or moments, or you still have some imaginations in your mind. I'm not sure if there is not such thing, then it's of course okay. Because, yeah, I just want to ask.
When I came to Multicultural Center first, it was in May, I had my personal psychological crisis because at that time I stayed in Krakow for 2 months and it was clear that the war would not be finished soon and I had to get used living here for God knows how long and being outside Ukraine, and it was really very painful for me. And when I came and started helping, I compare my situation with the situation of other, mainly women who came and asked for help. And I realized that a lot of women are in much difficult situation here than me. Like they have kids, some of them had sick children. So in comparison, I started feeling better, myself. So it's really helped to me also. But sometimes very nice and very funny and very positive situations happen, and it brings like smile to you and it brings light to your body when you tell about the situations to other people and share a lot of stories with Agnieszka. I will tell you one of them. It's a little bit delicate, but Agnieszka allowed me to tell you, of course. In November, I was directed to Shafa Dobra, and I was in charge, I was assigned to help in underwear section, let's say this. And Ukrainian women comprehend me as a saleswoman who knows everything about bra, how they should fit, their sizes, etc. Yeah, and it was like new experience for me and new emotions. And when these women tried bras on in a fitting room, they asked for my advice. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I feel myself really happy because I made this women smile and I made them be satisfied looking at themselves in the mirror in a new underwear and realizing that they're still attractive. For a lot of them, it was really very important.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's delicate, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah. I love how Elena always is another human, and after sometimes she's always telling me about the stories in this conversation with other people. That's really amazing. Yes. I think it's also important for these people.
For them and for me also.
For you also.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, it was kind of tough because I had to kind of manage everything. I was doing several things at the same time. And so in that instance, it was quite challenging. I know I was quite far behind on my thesis because of all this, but eventually I was able to balance it out and pull through. And also another instance I would say was there was a point when we had a decrease in donation and supply at the warehouse, and then we had to cut down on what we're giving out to refugees. And some refugees would come and say to me that I'm stingy, I don't want to give out food supply, but then I just had to it wasn't, I took it as not a personal attack and just tried to explain, but yeah, it was kind of a tough period during that time. It was true.
And I have to tell you, we are always impressed by your your help and what you were doing. You were always very strong and you were always willing to help. And the way you were talking to people, and sometimes we needed to set some boundaries, and you were always there to help. So we were very grateful, really. And I'm sorry you had some experience.
I think in everything you do, there are always challenges.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't really be an experience if everything goes smoothly. So there has to be some points where you, in the future, you can reflect about, think about, okay, yeah, there's a better way. Yeah, so it's always good to have that.
Yeah, you will remember your hero in our foundation. This is every other volunteer, but your help was like very crucial.
So for me, the first time when I met refugees in one of the warehouses was a tough experience. It made me realize that this war was so real. So that was quite tough. But to kind of balance it with something more bright, I guess, this whole year has been very much rewarding for me in terms of meeting new people, making new friends whom I wouldn't for sure met in the other circumstances. So this is to stay on the bright side, even.
Thank you, Boże. Yes, similar experience, yes, and but always count on your help, so it's good to know when we are helping in such surroundings that we have people that we can count on, and they can always, or most of the time, help us. And even if they don't have time in the exact moment, then we can wait, and then there we can always talk and find a solution. So don't have a solution. That is each person. And Christine?
I think what you're saying about being unified is so important, and that's really our answer to someone trying to divide the world or Europe or whatever. And our answer is to stand together. And I mean, we're all from different countries, and we have different backgrounds, and we speak different languages. And I think for us volunteers and also for refugees coming, it's a sense of being together and to be united, and that's, I like that's our response to someone trying to divide and to separate and to be different. That we're always thinking that we're the same, and yeah, I think that's a very good way to see it. And I mean, for me, for these 2 weeks, I mean, it will always be something that hits you personally, as you said. I'm a teacher, and that's, I have a very strong belief in education, so it breaks my heart when I see kids not able to go to school. And I think it's very sad now they closed even all the schools in Ukraine for these days. Yeah, that's why when I see the children or play with the children, like in Shafadovra, I just keep thinking you should be in school. Like, this is, this shouldn't be your reality. So that's what really hits me here. But yeah, on the positive side, I think just us being together is a very good answer to someone trying to divide, to show that we're in this together.
Yes, and we could see that, we can still see that in Krakow, when we are trying to do as best as we can together to help. And not only right now, not only distributing, but also integrating and showing people that we can all live here in Krakow.
Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you one last question, because it's been a year since the war on full scale started in Ukraine. And do you have some reflections after this year? Do you think you still want to help, or do you want to help another time, or are you tired after this time?
I still help.
Yes.
I cannot say I'm tired. But my emotions after every day in Multicultural Center are slightly different from my emotions in the spring, because refugees are different now. They are less new people who come from Ukraine, and we deal with people who come during the last 60 days. They are less stressed. They are not so much lost as refugees a year ago. Now people who come, they made conscious decision to leave Ukraine, to move to Poland for a while. They had time to prepare themselves, to take all they need. They still need our help, but not as much as the first few months when people were absolutely lost. They did not know where to get necessary information. There were no groups in Facebook, in Telegram as it is now, and the only source of information for them was to come to the center and to communicate with volunteers and do what they can do and what they should do in this situation.
Thank you.
So emotionally now it is a little bit easier
Yes.
for myself. Taking into account that I'm also from Ukraine and I'm also a refugee,
Because
unfortunately.
Because at first it was everything was we were all learning how to help and how to.
And I think in this line of work or in this experience volunteering, it's the want to plan and to know the future is very much present. But I mean, that's impossible. We don't know how this will, what will happen next and how this will develop. So it's impossible to plan, for how to continue the help also. And that's, as you said, like just giving your time here and now is what we can do, and then we just have to hope and pray that this will be, we won't be necessary in a very short time. So let's hope for that. So yeah.
Yes.
It's like what I was saying. You wouldn't have thought that it would reach like this time this year, and this was still been happening. Because when it all started, it's like maybe okay for 3-4 months, and then everything will go back to normal, and people can go back to Ukraine and start rebuilding. But it was not. And at the beginning, when it all started, it was absolute chaos because people were running away. They didn't have any choice, and they all came here, and then structures were not in place. So the multicultural center is one of the first that actually started with the structure and was giving aid to people. And yeah, then like a day we would get up to 800, 900 people. The reality then was very, very much different from what it is now. And as you rightly said, people coming now are not as much stressed, and there are more structures in place now compared to how it was last year. It's been a learning process all along as it was developing over the different months. But ultimately, what everyone wants is just for it all to be over and for peace to return, and then can start rebuilding. Because the pressure, the inability, the uncertainty that's there, as you said, you can't plan because you actually don't know how it's going to be like. So everyone just needs to keep contributing in any way they can. We just have to keep at it. Of course, it's very important to also take rest because volunteer burnout is a very, very real thing. So you could take a time off to rest and recharge your batteries, because over time it kind of has an impact on you, whether you like it or not. Mentally, emotionally, seeing people having the feeling that they should, like you said, they should be in school, they shouldn't be on the streets and things like that. So in some instances you feel helpless, but just take time experiences, and with that you grow stronger together.
Thank you.
But I think that this year showed the best face of Poland, and the thing that people were able to react swiftly from the very, very beginning to organize themselves, to to come up with various initiatives, having initiatives, trade initiatives, to build something, to deliver results with not so much resources or with no resources at the beginning, to self-organize, etc. So we showed our best basically throughout this year. That's one thing. And my hope is that in future we will consider 2022 as a beginning of new era for NGO sector, for civic society in Poland, for volunteering, because it released a lot of new energy and new drive to do something, to change something.
Thank you, Tomasz. And thank you all for this conversation and all your thoughts and emotions and all your help, because without you we wouldn't have managed to do all of this. So thank you so much. And also thank you to all our volunteers that were helping us through all this time. I can remind you it was 11,000 or almost more, 11,000 volunteers. So that's a huge number, and we want to thank you all those volunteers. Thank you.